with Brian Epstein, manager of the Beatles.
Hello, Bruce.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
You're a very busy man.
I'm sorry, it's my last day in New York. It's all been happening.
Do you mind if I ask you some questions about the Beatles?
No, not at all.
When is their next record coming out?
Well, now, this is something which I always find difficult to answer in the States because the scheduling by Capitol is different to our own in England. But I expect that they'll follow up with another one in February.
Will it be from the English Rubber Soul album?
It's likely, yes.
Let me ask you a question concerning that. Is there any particular reason for the English albums to come out with more cuts than the American albums have? Because it's always a very sore point with us in America.
We ourselves would like very much for the United States album to contain 14 tracks. But for some reason or other, this is apparently not an economic situation for the United States companies. We've had long discussions and even arguments with Capitol Records that we should put out a 14-track album here, but we've been unable to agree on various points. It's a little bit complex and involved. You know, it's most important, I would like it to be known, actually, that certainly the boys would like 14-track albums to be issued throughout the world, because it's always been, in England, our plan to produce the 14-track album because it's so much better value.
Are you making plans for the Beatles' next tour of America?
Yes, I am. I've been into discussions whilst I've been in New York this time. I'm unable to finalize or confirm anything because we've not yet set the dates for the next movie. And it depends when this goes on the floor during the year. But it's likely that we'll be back in America during August, mid-August, I should say. And that I'll be returning to New York February or March to set these dates.
In other words, you haven't got any particular cities picked out or any really sound or solid negotiations going yet?
No, but for your information, I am planning definitely that we should return to Boston.
Oh, beautiful. Can I quote you on that?
Yes.
Very, very good.
But, you know, nothing's set yet.
Nothing
but I
is
am
set.
planning that we return to Boston.
How about the sales of the Rubber Soul album? I've understood they're phenomenal.
They are spectacular. I believe that they exceed 1.5 million.
I think they're almost probably closer to 2 million, from what I've heard. I'm sure that nobody would tell me.
Well, I never believe in exaggerating, actually. I have heard that it's over 1.5 million, but I wondered how strong that report was.
No, as a matter of fact, I brought it up because everyone who is connected with the album has told me that it is outselling the Meet the Beatles album, which was the first one.
Yes, I believe it has, yes. Well, the boys very honestly believe, and there's no conceit here, that this is their best album from a music point of view.
I wholeheartedly agree. I think it's a fantastic album, and everyone else does, too. How about the motion picture, the next one? They seem to make one every year. Is there anything particular that's definite about that?
There's nothing set about that. We're having a problem in finding the right storyline for it. In fact, you know, unless we get the right material, we may not even make a movie this year, or at least we might not make it until the end of the year, because the third movie is going to be most important. It cannot follow in any way the same line as the two previous ones. It's also not got to be corny or something else like someone else's movie. It's got to be new and different and interesting and acceptable to a very wide public.
The Beatles just recently, I believe, concluded a European tour, did they not?
They did a 10-day tour of England.
And how was that as far as
was
reception is
beautiful.
concerned?
It was a very great success in every way.
Do you find that the popularity of the Beatles is as strong as it was?
Well, you know, I can honestly say, Bruce, that I find the strength of their following to be greater than ever. One often wonders, you know, whether I would say that if I wasn't the Beatles manager. It seems an obvious thing for me to say, and yet it is really very, very true. One is amazed by the interest and the fervour that still exists. I had today up for lunch here the president of the fan club, and she was telling me that there's more interest in the Beatles' return to the States this year than she ever remembers over the 2 years.
Yeah.